Hello, Instagram. Hello, YouTube. Let's talk about can love addicts and love avoidance make it work? I am teaching this live, and so I'm so excited to see and hear any questions that you have. If you're watching the replay of this, go ahead and let me know so in the chat. And if you have any follow up questions or thoughts, let me know there. But I'm so excited to be with y'all today. I've not gone live in a long time, and so I look forward to connecting with everyone again. So happy Friday before the holiday season. Tis the season for us to be really reevaluating how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about the people in our lives, who's going to stay, who ain't going to stay, who's going to make the cut, who ain't going to make the cut, right? And so, as if you listen to the podcast, for those of you who don't know, Black Girls Heal is not just the name of this platform. I have a podcast where I teach people how to heal from the symptoms of love addiction, love avoidance, love deprivation, and the trauma that causes it to make way for healthy love in your life. Hey, Asatel, good to see you. And the trauma that causes it, because I'm a therapist by trade. And so I've been on my own recovery journey for since 2014, when, as a therapist with a master's degree in marriage and family therapy, who had what I thought to be very, healthy friendships, relationships, and everything, come to find out your girl, the patterns of relationships that I was having, whether or not I was being avoidant or whether or not I kept being attracted to the wrong person, was because of unresolved trauma. And even though I had a full degree and was helping hundreds of people change their lives, I couldn't do it for myself, which made me feel like, okay, is this a me thing? Like, just playing into feelings of low self-worth that were already there that I didn't think were there, because I'm an overachiever. I've always done well, been able to be very good at people pleasing and being well liked. But come to find out, so I would think that because I kept having these relationship issues, that meant that there was something wrong with me, because my friends could get in relationships and get over things very quickly. My friends could set boundaries. My friends could date a bad guy, but then go and date someone who was very healthy. And that was not my experience. And so I was on this journey of just feeling like, okay, well, what is wrong with me? Because even all the relationship advice and all the other things out there did not help me get better. It sounded good. I tried to apply it, but it only got me more of the same negative results that I didn't want, until I found the terms love addiction and love avoidance. And finally, it made sense. I already knew about attachment styles. Again, I have a degree in marriage and family therapy, and I was a practicing therapist at the time. So I already knew about attachment styles. I already knew about disorganized, attachment and insecure attachments. I knew about all that. But it wasn't until I had the terms love avoidance and love addiction that I was like, that's me. That fully describes how me, a normally functioning, sane person, logical person who's so good at, helping other people with their things, or all that stuff, how when it comes to romantic partnerships and relationships, I would just lose myself and I would embarrass myself. And I would, now this term was not in the vernacular when I was first starting my recovery, but being a pick me. Like, I was a professional pick me, but I didn't think so. I just thought I was good at seeing the best in people. I just thought I was, good at giving people the benefit of the doubt, not knowing that I was sacrificing myself. So again, in the podcast, that is what I talk about. But one question that I always get all the time, and I see your comments. Thank you so much for your comments. I'm going to read them. I just, if you've ever seen me teach or heard me, even heard the podcast, you know I'm good for a tangent or two. So I just want to get this thought out. But see, that's why I just, oh, okay. But a question that I'm always getting is, can a love addict and a love avoidant make it work? Can a love addict and a love of no, preacher, take your time. That is so funny. Thank you. Um, can a love addict and a love avoidant make it work? And I'll always give like a little quick, like, yeah, of course, but it's about people being willing and stuff like that. But for the next couple of weeks, I want to dig into this topic because it's very real. Because one thing that I really want to debunk is that you have to be perfect to find love. Like, I feel like that's like the most detrimental thing. all the advice that points us to, find yourself, and then, you'll find your people and all that stuff. There's always like a kernel of truth in like the overdependence and codependency that we have in other people and what they give us absolutely leads us to making relationship decisions and choices that are not to our benefit. That is true. So learning how to center ourselves is true. But sometimes the delivery of things is like it puts the blame onto you as to the reason why you can't find the personal relationships, or and this is all relationships, the friendships that you want, the chosen family relationships that you want, is because of you. And so when I will have clients who are going through their healing process with me, through either love addiction or love avoidance, as we're talking about things, they've made such great progress. They'll almost say to me apologetically, like, I feel like that's my love avoidance coming through. I feel like that's my love addiction coming through, as if it is stopping them from being able to get them what they want. And two things I want to be very clear about. One, we are always going to be in a healing journey. So if we get to a place where we're like, okay, one day I'm going to like go over this cliff and like make it, and then like I'll be perfect. That is still your perfectionism coming through, because the human experience is meant to be messy. There is sorrow that comes with the highest of joys in life. There is lack that comes with abundance. There is anger and rage that we feel that is justified when bad things happen, that also comes with an immense peace and relief and comfort, right? Like the ebb and flow of life is what makes us human. And so when we try to get away from that, it's more because we have learned that negative feelings means that something bad is going to happen to us and we can't protect ourselves. Or even for some of us, good feelings. Every time I'm happy, that's when someone leaves me. That's when the next shoe drops. That's when the next storm comes through. It's almost like, well, I can't let myself be too happy, and then I can't let myself be too. No, like we can be in the middle, right? And so you don't have to be perfect, which means that you can be in a place where you're still healing from whatever it is that you think you need healing from, and either have, receive, give the most intense love ever. Because relationships are a mirror. Relationships, the reason why, when it came to me determining and deciding to call this Black Girls Heal and deciding where in the healing world I wanted to focus on, I decided to focus on relationships because there are multiple different entry points that people have when it comes into getting into the healing process to figure out that there is something that they need. For some people, they have very deep and intense depression. And that's what sends them to therapy or to a coach or to a healer or to whatever it may be. And then that's where they discover, okay, this is what has been feeding into my depression. Whatever, this is what is physiological. It's physical. Why can't I say the word? I can't think of the word right now. It's based in like an actual like physical issue and disorder that I might need medication to fix, or maybe I had extreme trauma in the past. Maybe the entry point to your healing process is anxiety. You're always on edge, and like that's what leads you into go into your healing work. For me, relationships are the mirror. Whatever relationship you're going to have in front of you is going to show you and reflect back to you how you feel about yourself, how you feel about the world, right? There are certain relationships and people that might bring out different insecurities in you that other ones don't, right? And so is it really about them, or is it really about exposing that this is an area of my life that I get to grow in? This is an area of my life that I need to heal something in, because I might be projecting something that has happened to me onto this person. And that's where love addiction and love avoidance comes in at. We are going to find people who will most likely, and I'm kind of getting into whether or not can love addicts and love avoidance work. We are going to find people, there's a phrase that goes, their bite matches our wound. So we are always looking for this place of healing and of completion. So somehow, some way, we will find the people who will mimic and mark and reflect back to us places that we need to grow, right? And so it's up to us to decide, okay, is this a place that I actually need to move forward in or not? Is this something that actually I want to own as my part or not? And so makes complete sense. The love addicts and love avoidance will find each other, which leads to number two that I hear often when people want to work with me on things is like, do I have to be single in order to do this. Like I'm talking to somebody, I'm married, like I'm already in a committed partnership with this person. This thing is kind of like a situationship, but I'm not ready to let it go. Like I don't think I'm ready for this. And you, as long as you're showing up for yourself, you can do your healing work in whatever capacity and whatever relationship status that you have, as long as you're ready to take ownership, and practice some accountability for like what is mine. Accountability does not mean, for those of my folks who tend to be a little bit more codependent and tend to take all the blame onto yourself about relationship issues, which is most likely my love addicts. My love addicts will find the one person in the room who's going to be unavailable to their needs and then be like, well, let me try to find a way to make this work. Let me try to find a way, like this is me, like I'm asking for too much, like I'm doing whatever, what else. And really, no, you're not asking for enough, right? Um, it's so comforting to hear that. Yeah, you do not have to put yourself in isolation to heal an intimacy disorder, because at its core, um, today, what I'm going to talk about, by the way, and talking about can love addicts and love avoidance make it work, I am going to focus on three specific points and things that happen when love addicts and love avoidance get together. It is so easy for me to like want to give y'all the full gambit of everything, which is why I want to go live a few more times to talk about this. Um, but yeah, we don't heal an intimacy disorder by going more in isolation. It may feel comforting for that. It may feel safer to do that, but really it's just more of the same, because I can have all the thoughts and feelings that I want when I'm by myself. But if as soon as I emerge from my little cave, the world is dangerous again, that's just going to reinforce what this I need to go back to isolation. And it's going to be the same insecurities, the same fears, the same thoughts. Like I can't trust people. Every time I try, I'm just hurt again. This is why it's better just to be by myself. Meanwhile, if those thoughts actually helped us not want relationships, then we would all be very safe and comfortable in our own little caves, because we need companionship, relationship, tribehood, community. That doesn't necessarily mean romantic partnerships, but we keep trying, we keep exiting that cave, because to be lonely and to be without someone to walk in this life with, whether or not it is just a deep friendship and sisterhood, whether or not it is family that gets you and understands you, whether or not it is a soulmate partnership, our soul craves it for a reason. And so it's more about, let's look at what happens when I get into these certain relationships, to either do one or two things. Figure out, why do I keep attracting or being attracted to people who are predators and unavailable for me, so that I can break that pattern? Or what is it that when I'm in intimate relationships with people and my triggers come up, I want to run, I want to blame them, I want to numb myself and minimize my needs in efforts to keep them, which only makes me feel resentful, and then it makes them feel resentful too, because they can tell something's up and then we can't connect, and it's just a whole big cluster, right? And so the short answer to can love addicts and love avoidance make it work is yes, absolutely. I would actually challenge y'all to say that even after you go through your healing process, some of you will emerge and align more with being someone who identifies as securely attached. Here, at Black Girls Heal, I have a framework called a healed and loved woman, where I say that instead of us being love addicted, we learn to ourselves, we learn how to be more love nourished. And so we embody all three of those things. That to me, it feels like secure attachment on steroids, because like now we're incorporating our peace and our pleasure and our joy and our bliss into it, for us as women. But even if you merge into that place, you're still going to connect to an imperfect person. So some of us may emerge aligning more like being securely attached or as a healed and loved woman. And you're still going to connect with someone who may trigger the crap out of you. All this stuff, what it looks like is all the stuff that you've worked to heal, and you get to a certain level. And then, yeah, all this stuff is no longer an issue for you. Like you see it, it may be frustrating, but like you can deal with it. But then there's all these other things that you get to deal with. And you met this person at this higher level, and now you get to do the work to rise above to this level too, right? So we're always going to be in the state of growing. Others of you will or already have met and matched with people who are the opposite of your attachment style or the opposite of your intimacy style. So you're a love avoidant and you have met someone who is a love addict and y'all have fallen and y'all are trying to make it work, right? You are love addicted and you have found someone who is more avoidant. Now y'all are trying to make it work, right? And so can you make it work? Absolutely. But both people need to be willing. Okay. So like I said, we're going to start a mini series talking about this. This is going to culminate on Wednesday, January 8th. I'm hosting a workshop literally called How to Make It Work. It is going to be a 4-part workshop. We're doing it all in one night. Where I'm going to be going over, let me tell you what we're going to be going over. We're going to be going over what does love addiction and love avoidance look like in relationships. Then we're going to be looking at how do you show up for that partner according to which one you identify with. So if I'm the avoidant person in the relationship, how do I show up in that relationship that is still true to me and where I am? We're not trying to make ourselves be perfect, y'all. We're not trying to make ourselves act as if we, have the most pleasant thoughts all the time. We're working with where we currently are because that's what's honest and that's what's actually going to help us work. And if you're more anxious in a relationship and you're in a relationship with someone who's avoidant, then we're going to talk about what to do there. Part 3 of the workshop, again, all in one night. We're going to be talking about your self-love work because at the core, this is all about your relationship with yourself. So how do you work with feeling abandoned, feeling overwhelmed, feeling not good enough, and then bringing that all together as a healed and loved woman. I'll give the link again at the end, but for anyone who would like to attend, you can go to blackgirlsheal.org/make-it-work to save your spot. And then, of course, there'll be live Q&As there as well, which is why this was going to be a course, so like a workshop that I recorded on my own. And I was like, no, people are going to have all kinds of questions about what they're going through and why, and what do I do? And this is what he said, and this is what she said, and this is what happened with my ex, and what do you think? And I want to be able to answer all those questions that night. So be prepared to stay late. By the way, before I get into the points and read all the comments, I do have a little person here from school. It is the holidays. He'll be going to grandma's house, but I wanted to get this out before it got too late. And also, I'm mailing some things out today. For those of you who pre-ordered the book, for those of you who don't know, I wrote a book called How to Pick Partners for Love Addicts, How to Assess for Lovers, Friends, and Family Members Who Are Available for Love. I will go over this book on a different live or video, but it's exactly what it is. Like literally, what are the qualities of how to pick those folks? And the folks who pre-ordered, I'm sending out their packages today. Okay. So let's go ahead and read these comments. I feel like a little knock is going to come on the door very soon. So this is also going to help me not lose my train of thoughts once I start teaching. Okay. So happy to be here with you. Thank you so much. This is so real, being able to help others and not realizing you too need the help. I can relate. Yeah. Like when you are the mom of the group or the friend of the group or the healthy friend of the group or the one who's supposed to have it all together, it can be not only a whole lot of pressure, but you don't quite see what the issues are. And I think that's something that my clients really appreciate for when they do the programs with me, because most of the women who do my programs are like, they're self-help junkies. This is not their first, second, third, or fourth program, book. Therapists, they've been in therapy for years, right? But there's something about hearing these things in a certain way and being presented to you and give you the tools that you need. That's like, oh, that's what this has been, and that's what's going on. Because we're not meant to figure everything out themselves. I love investing in programs and people who get something that I need on a level that I haven't been able to get. So I'm excited for everyone who's going to be attending the upcoming workshop. This is extremely accurate. A lot of this trauma that happens to us as Black women was trauma caused by no fault of our own. I agree with this. Yes, generational trauma that is passed down. Absolutely. Let me go to YouTube. Good day. So happy I caught this today. Hey, Samira. Wait, Samira. I feel like I said that wrong. I feel like we've talked before, but I feel like I forgot how to say your name off. So please remind me. I also am wondering how this would affect someone who is dating someone who's older, a 13-year age gap, and she is a woman. Same sex relationships are very hard. So, this is, I would love to hear your experience of why it feels hard for you. Because what I'm about to say is some things that I've heard from different clients of mine who are queer, women loving women, and what they've said, but everyone's experience is different. So, we're not gonna I'm not I don't feel comfortable saying acting as if whatever I'm about to say fits your particular situation if you're still here. um but could the concept of a love addict and a love avoidant getting together affect in a be a, of an effect in a queer relationship where there's an age gap? I think, yeah, I think when we look at taking out gender for a little bit, I think we have two different generations. I'm going to assume that you're my age, that you're millennial, dating someone who is 13 years older, even if you weren't, but just for argument's sake. If you're dating someone who's 13 years older, that person is at being generous, Generation X, but most likely a boomer and or closer to the boomer range. And people who grew up in the boomer era had a different experience of growing up and what was available to them as far as being emotionally available, of talking about emotions at all, about what was appropriate to do for fun, about the status of relationships, about what it meant, about withholding or not withholding and all that stuff. So when I think about boomer women that I know, boomer black women that I know, unless they have done their healing work or they've had a daughter or auntie or someone else, or they've gone to a church sermon that has been preaching the importance of trauma informed healing and all that stuff, through the Lord, like unless there's been a very deep intervention, for the most part, those of that generation have learned how to keep it moving. We keep it straight, we keep it buckled in, like we don't have a lot of patience for all of the complaining and all that other stuff. Suck it up. um, there is not a lot of connection to hurt and pain. If there is any emotion that comes up, if it's not irritation, it is anger. But outside of that, it may be a little bit more restrained and restrictive. And so if I'm going to compare that to someone who's 13 years older, millennial or younger, Generation Z, or if you're as young as Alpha watching this, hopefully older Alpha, because it is school time. So, so hopefully older Alpha. If so, like we're all about emotions and sensitivity and tell me what you need and tell me what you want, and that's not going to happen. Even though the benefit of being in a same sex relationship for women, from what I hear from my clients, is that we are going to talk about our feelings and our emotions at nauseum. Like we don't get sick of that. But if you're in a relationship with someone who generationally, um, that is not a benefit. That is not something that she learned or wanted to have. Again, unless she grew up in a different setting, just as a whole, that's something that generation is kind of known for. So it's more of an outlier versus not. And again, if anyone disagrees, please feel free to tell me in the chat or tell me what your different experience is. Um, so so yeah, this would affect that for sure. And that's where having the understanding for the other person's experiences comes in at. Hey, Vu. Hello, hello. Okay. If y'all are ready for these 3 points of what happens when love avoidance and love addicts get together, let me know in the chat. You completely agree. Thank you so much. You're so welcome. Um, Let me know in the chat by give me a heart if you're ready for these 3 points. For those of you who are just joining me, hello, my name is Sheena Lachey. I am the founder of Black Girls Heal, and I help women heal from the symptoms of love addiction, love avoidance, and love deprivation, and the trauma that causes it, to make way for healthy love in your life. We are talking about, can love addicts and love avoidance make it work? So if you missed the beginning, you can go ahead and watch the recording once this is posted. If for some reason I get a phone call on Instagram and I lose y'all here, then it will be on YouTube, but hopefully that's not the case. And again, if I do get a phone call, fingers crossed not, and my sound cuts out, please let me know. In fact, let me make sure my sound is on over here so that this does not happen. And again, I have a little person home from school right now, so pardon any interruptions and if I might need to Worst case scenario, get up and get him a snack or something. I'll let y'all know. All right, thank you for the hearts. You've never spoken your name, catching alive. Okay, well, but I've seen your name, so maybe that's what I'm thinking. I feel like I've seen your name a lot. So thank you for being here. Um, and being a part of the community. All right, so the first thing that happens when a love addict and a love avoidant get together is missed opportunities to connect. Missed opportunities to connect is the first one. Something I want to say is a way that I'm going to say that I do this. I know I do this. Is when people talk about love addicts and love avoidance, or people with anxious attachment and avoidant attachment, maybe not as much and as I do, in the context of love addict and love avoidant, it can seem as if a love addict and a love avoidant being together always means trouble. It always means as if this is the wrong relationship and is only going to end up in flames and there's no redeeming of it. And that is not the case. Like I was saying kind of in the intro, hey boo. Like I was saying kind of in the intro, um, it's just about the different ways that each person has learned how to relate to themselves and to others. But if there is actual love, if there's real love and commitment to the relationship, you absolutely can make it work, because then what it looks like is that the love avoidant is using their triggers in the relationship as a mirror, and the love addict is using their triggers in the relationship as a mirror to heal themselves. And as you're healing yourselves, you're able to heal each other. And part of you healing yourselves may include communicating and learning how to hear and learning how to connect about what's going on in a different way. Right? So the missed opportunities to connect is if we both deeply love each other, but we are not doing the work and getting the skills that we need to make it work. No matter how much we love each other, this will implode. It will explode. Some of you, depending on where you are in your healing process, you may, if you have healed a lot of things, there may be previous relationships that when you think about them, you're like, man, if I would have known that, that relationship would have turned out a completely different way. A relationship that you no longer have anymore. If I would have had the insight about what was going on with me, if I would have known how to communicate these needs, if I would have known that that's probably what this person needed, maybe I could have asked a clarifying question. Maybe I could have chilled about it. Maybe I could have made it not mean something. Maybe I wouldn't have run so fast. Maybe they wouldn't have run so fast, right? Um, Love is not enough when you are not willing to do the internal work to make it work. Does that make sense, y'all? And so the missed opportunities to connect could look like the love avoidant is trying to communicate to their love addicted partner that they are feeling very overwhelmed because of some internal things that are going on with them that has nothing to do with the love addict. The love addict feels personally rejected because what they hear is that you're not letting me in and I could help you and I could love you, and I'm not, you're not willing to prioritize me. And so now they feel personally rejected because they can't really take in that this person's distance is not the same as the distance that has happened to them before. The same ways that people have given them fluffy excuses that actually meant that they did not want to prioritize them. They are hearing this person's words through that lens. And so they are getting more and more hurt. Now, the love avoidant, seeing the emotional reaction to that person, usually love avoidance comes from being emotionally overwhelmed and intruded upon by caregivers and people from your past, whether or not it's physical, emotional abuse, whether or not you were highly parentified, and didn't really have a lot of emotional care that you were needing. But basically, people required you to be things for them that was overwhelming to you in your younger frame, and younger experience that was unfair for you. And so now I got this person who I told you this isn't about you, and you're making it about you. So now I'm triggered. Now I'm upset. Now I am feeling disrespected. Now I am wanting to run. Now I really do want to cut you off because I can't do all this at the same time. And then that feeds something on them. And so you see what I'm saying? Like, it's missed opportunities to connect, to understand each other, to heal, and to be the safe space that the other person was needing. Because what if the love avoidant got the space to just take care of himself or herself, right? What if the love addict got the opportunity to hear, hey, I love you. we're good. I appreciate all the work that you give me and all the work you do for the relationship. Like, but if they were able to receive that type of assurance, right, and actually hear it and not internalize it, because sometimes for some of us, we'll get the assurance, but we don't believe it because our internal voice is louder, right? Our internal voice is louder than um, what has been told to us. Okay. So let me know if that makes sense. As always, any questions or comments now that I'm in the teaching mode? I won't go through my whole. I won't need to go through my whole spiel, but let me know if you have any questions or thoughts or experiences related to that one. But in the meantime, number two, if you're ready for point number two about what happens when love addicts and love avoidants get together, can they make it work? Put a two in the chat, either a two or a heart, so that I know that you're here with me, a two or a heart. And thank you so much, y'all, for being here with me in the middle of the day on a Friday, the Friday before Christmas. For those of y'all who are stateside, thanks for being here. Um, and I'm very excited about having this camera set up. I've had this camera set up on here on YouTube that hopefully looks clear. I hope, fingers crossed, I hope it's clear once it is posted, because I had my webcam and then I bought a higher version of the webcam, but it still comes out grainy and it's been pissing me off. So this is the camera that I hope to use for the video podcast. So we'll see once this gets posted. Thank y'all for the twos. All right. Point number two, what happens when a love addict and a love avoidant get together? I actually kind of said this in the first one, but it bears repeating, or is worth repeating, which is we will trigger each other's trauma patterns perfectly. My notes are behind the little tripod over here. So the avoidant wants to flee due to feeling overwhelmed because the love feels suffocating. And the addict wants to cling and appease and need reassurance because it's not enough. Is not enough love, connection, care, whatever. And so we continue to trigger each other. So let me ask y'all this, since I kind of mentioned it before. Can anybody relate to this? Have you seen this happen in any of your previous relationships or your current relationships? Are there any relationships where the more you push, the more the other person wants out? Or is it, or the more you let go, the more they try to rush towards you, right? And how have you handled it, or how are you handling it? Absolutely can relate. Yes, I've been on both sides. Hey, Natty. It's clear to me as well. Yeah, yeah. I think this is a really common occurrence, and something that I say too. I've said it a lot very recently on the podcast is um, our trauma can feel very, very much like intuition, that gut instinct that tells us something is off. It is just as loud and just as powerful as our intuition. And someone may disagree with me with that. Again, feel free to put in the chat if you do. But I think the voices are just as loud, which is why it's very important for you to make sure that you're checking the facts, not to second guess yourself, not to try to, because I think some of us, part of our trauma is that we've had a gut instinct and we're like, no, I'm just being silly. I'm just being crazy. So if you're dating someone who's avoided and your gut instinct is like, this person isn't right. And you're like, well, no, because they're nice to me in this way. And then these are the things that happen. They really love me. And, you push it down only to find out that they were talking to somebody else, only to find out that they were using you for even to find out that they didn't want to commit to you. Right. And then you're like, oh, I should have trusted myself. Right. So sometimes our gut instinct is A1, and sometimes our trauma is like, I can't be around this person because being around them is dangerous. I can't really trust that they're actually going to be here. Meanwhile, they're giving you all green flags. They're being consistent in how they communicate to you. If or when they have a gap in their capacity, they communicate it. If or when they make a mistake, they are sincere, not only sincerely apologetic, they put the words behind, or they put the actions behind their words, right? They are attentive, they are patient, they are whatever. And there's still something in you that's like, something's not right. Or you'll magnify a bigger problem. And that is, for many of y'all, trauma. If this person's giving you all green flags and you actually like them, in this book, the How to Pick Partners book, one of the qualities that I have in here about, so there are 40 qualities in here. There's a lot of different things. This book teaches you how to be available if you're not available. It shows you how to find people who are ready for love and who are not. And one of the ways that I do that is there are 20 qualities of availability and 20 qualities of unavailability. And one of the things that I say that we need to pay attention to is, do I actually find this person fun, and do I like them? Right? Do I actually enjoy them? Because I think one of the biggest issues that people can have sometimes when it comes to being in partnerships that are healthier when they're first getting started is you don't really feel the chemistry. You don't really feel like the intensity. You know why? Because your type before you get started on your healing is narcissists. Your type before you get started on your healing are people who are going to use you and drop you. So, of course, there's not an instant chemistry because this person isn't a predator. It's not this subconscious connection to, ooh, I think this person just has this energy that I'm used to. Yeah, because they ain't love bombing you. They're giving you kind, loving, patient, consistent care and not telling you on the first date that you're my wife, right? And so something's off. Like we're not sleeping together by date three. Like literally, one of my other clients was telling me that, and I know that's a common experience, right? To find someone who respects you is like, this is weird. Like, I actually have to connect with you based on who you are and what you think and what you want, and not the fantasy of it. And you want to connect with me on that too. It's a it's an unfamiliar experience, right? And so you have to learn how to identify the differences between the two. But sometimes the way you do that is by checking the facts. Okay. Um, True as F. This is why it's hard, because our voices and sometimes they don't listen based off of what you just said. Yeah. So here's the thing, people who care about you, even if they disagree, they're going to be respectful for it. Someone who cares about you, if they don't have the capacity to give you what you want, they're going to tell you. Someone who does not care about you may either ridicule you for it and not really want to listen, or they may give you a whole lot of promises and then not change their behavior, right? And so it's more, what is this person going to do on the other side? Someone who really loves you, if they have the integrity to say that they can't give it to you, then you can respect that. Then it's up to you to say, I get to choose the relationships with people who actually can give me what I want. Instead of saying, well, you have all the other things that I want. Let me go ahead and like eat this. Because let me be clear, because I remember there was one person who got um, kind of peeved when I said this, because it makes it sound like the standard of like unicorn status is what I'm talking about. For the women that I support, what I'm saying when I talk about 90% of what it is, like that you need, that you may be selling on, the women that I support, they're not going to they're not going to not date someone because they like a different football team than they do, or because they are a morning person when they're a night person. The women that I help are going to be like, well, they're not that nice to me, but I can make it work. They are working all the time, but that's okay. I can go and find friends elsewhere. They have had a hard time being faithful in the past, but when we are together, things are fine and they're really apologetic. Like, they will hedge on truly foundational things. This book has the truly foundational things that you need for someone to be safe and available for you as a best friend, lover, or partner. And then we can add on movie choices, and then we can add on their style of dress, then we can add on all the extra stuff. But like, this is the stuff that we need to not stop playing games on, right? And so, to go back to connecting this to your point, if you're trying to tell someone what you want and what you need and they're not hearing it, then they're telling you that they're not available. I'm really listening this time around. Good. I'm happy you're really listening. I felt myself shut down and get the ick when people I've dated have shared their feelings, even if they're just communicating well and not anxious. I hate that about myself. So we are going to practice some self-love right now. and say and change how we talk about ourselves. Even like you could be saying that like honestly, like I really hate that about myself, or you can be like, oh God, I hate that about myself. Our words have power. Our words have power. Even the joking words, y'all. If I jokingly say, God, I hate that about myself, there I'm stoking a little fire of truth inside of myself, which is what makes it so hard for us to be self-compassionate and loving to ourselves in other places. When we make a mistake, when what is exposed and on screen in front of us is a growth area for us, then it's no longer joking, I hate myself, especially if there's dire consequences, right? If there is a relationship with someone that I really wanted to connect to and I let them go, and I'm like kicking myself for it. I'm not joking when I say I hate that about myself. This is why I'm alone. This is the problem with me. I hate that this happened. I remember I used to always say, I fucking hate that I didn't get enough hugs growing up. And now I have to deal with this. Like learning to shift our compassion and our self acceptance towards ourselves is pivotal, because how we talk to ourselves and how we treat ourselves is how we're going to show up for other people, which is literally why in this workshop about how to make it work between love addicts and love avoidance, there's a whole section about how do we build our own self-love. Because if I'm avoiding with other people, bet your bottom dollar I'm avoiding with some things in myself that I need to take care of. If I'm anxious with other people, that dang sure I'm overthinking how I feel about myself and whether or not I'm good enough, and like I'm constantly measuring myself, and then if I earned this and have I not earned this. That's absolutely happening, right? But we're talking about that after we talk about the relationship stuff, because that's I know what y'all are there for. um but that's absolutely what we're going to be doing. For those of you who are just now joining me, on January 8th, Wednesday, January 8th, I'm hosting a workshop called How to Make It Work between love addicts and love avoidants. And we're talking about all of this, and the trauma that causes it, and the practical next steps for you to do for yourself and for them to make it work. If you're currently have been or might be in the future in a relationship with someone who has a different attachment style, intimacy style than you do, and you can register by going to blackgirlsheal.org/make it work. Damn, you are here with me in the flesh. Too accurate. Yes. Trust your gut and animals. If you have one, yes, yes, yes. Animals always know. What if someone says that they will take a long time to be able to give you what you need? Then you get to decide what that means for you. If you're with someone and they say it's going to take me a long time to give you what you need, so I'm going to go through a couple scenarios. I can hear someone saying this is going to take me a long time to give you what you need, and they're saying it just kind of like neutrally. And it's more like, I'm not saying that they're doing this to be manipulative, but it is manipulation. It's going to take me a while to give you what you need. There's no promise of effort behind that. It's just I'm letting you know. So you get to decide if you're going to, like, if you stay, then I told you it's going to take me a while. Like, there's a little bit of an air of indifference. If you're already emotionally committed to that, you're not going to hear that with the energy that they're giving it. You're going to hear, oh, they're telling me they want to give me what I need, and they're going to be working hard to give me that. And so now you're going to commit yourself to be in a relationship with someone for months, years later, look back and be like, you told me you're going to give me what you told you were going to take care of me, but they haven't. But now you have more time, heart, sex, maybe kids, money invested in this relationship, and it's going to be harder for you to leave. Not impossible, just harder, right? So there's that. If someone is saying in earnestness, it's going to take me a while to give you what you need, but here's how I'm going to do it. They have a plan. They're not just telling you. Then that's different. And they're like, baby, just give me X amount of time to get this together. This is what I'm going to do to get there. Okay. Now let's see. Maybe we're cooking with grease. However, the part B of that is some of us, our pattern is that we are attracted to dreamers. We are attracted to people that are forever entrepreneurs. They're forever on their quest to become higher management. They are a rapper selling the mixtapes at the back of their truck, like got a SoundCloud going on. We have people who are professional aspirationalists. And they're very good at painting us the dream, but do they ever, are they ever, have they ever been the people that we can depend on? Or because we're hoping that one day that we can depend on them, we're the ones that are covering the slack, right? So they give you a plan, they give you the dream, they paint it all, but who's doing the mental and emotional and physical labor in your relationship? If it is 99% you, then that's a red flag, hun. You need to, and you deserve to be in a relationship with someone who can and will and is ready to give you what you want, right? Um, and again, that's not perfection. Is Are they actually going to be doing this? Is this going to be saved? Yes, this live will be saved. If it for some reason it's not saved here on Instagram, it will be on YouTube. Um, as a love addict, I wonder why it was so hard for me to let go of the avoidant, even knowing he hurt me. Well, we're going to talk about it more at the workshop, but I can tell you right now, it's because their bite matched your wound. So the way that this person was avoiding towards you, for sure, if we talked about your story, it absolutely mimicked the ways that you were abandoned and rejected from people in your past. One common way that this happens that is not always obvious to folks that I talk about often is if you had a parent that physically wasn't there for some reason, they left the family, they had external affairs, they went to jail, they died early, they were sick, they some reason that they physically weren't there. You may be like, well, I'm going to break that pattern. I'm going to find someone who's going to be physically present for me. But in a room of 100 people, you find the person that may be physically present, but they're emotionally unavailable. When it comes down to sharing the things that you wanted, that you needed, they didn't have the capacity to hear you, to give you what you wanted, right? Maybe they worked all the time. I think, was that the first thing I said? But whatever it may be, they are physically in the home with you. They're physically in the room with you, but they're not there with you. So you're still being abandoned. So you still have an opportunity to play out this trauma wound and kind of hope that if I'm good enough, if I figure this out, if I clean enough, if I figure them out enough, if I do whatever, then these words that they told me that they want to be here for me, because now we're adult people. Like before, when this trauma happened, I was a little girl. Now I'm an adult woman who can use my big girl words. I learned from podcasts and from other people how to communicate my needs. And I decided to practice my communication needs with someone who is unavailable. The unavailable person gives me the promises that I want, but they don't give me the actions. My trauma is now repeated. But because they've given me the words that I've wanted, it's hard for me to let this go because they promised me. And what if I let this go and then right when I leave, they get it right? Right when I leave, they go and find someone else to give everything that I ever wanted to. Now my trauma is double reinforced because not only did you not give me what I wanted and what I needed, it reinforced that I wasn't good enough, which is why this other person got it, but I didn't. Okay. Thank you for the tips. You're so welcome for the tips. Okay. I hear little feet, so I'm gonna go to the last point because I'm probably for sure gonna get interrupted now by my kindergartner. But number three, if y'all ready for point number three, please put a 3 in the chat or a heart in the chat so that I know that you're still here with me. That stopped me in the past too. Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely will stop us from moving forward. Welcome to those of y'all who are joining me. Okay. Number 3, thank you for the hearts. Okay. The third thing that happens when love addicts and love avoidants get together is confusion if this is a them thing or a you thing, and if you got it wrong. Confusion if the issues that are happening is a them thing or a you thing, and if you got it wrong. I'm about to cry at work. LOL. Thank you for this. You're so welcome. Now, for real, I'm about to cry too. Oh, I hope it's good cleansing cries. So this third point about confusion, if it's a them thing or a you thing, and if you got it wrong, goes back to me saying that there can be two people who are madly in love, a love addict and a love avoidant, who they found each other not because they're just playing out their trauma wounds, but this is their person. But the way that my family story is set up, and the way your family story is set up, and the way that it's affected both of us, it kind of creates a perfect storm at times, even with all the beautiful things that make us really great together. these things that come up, they are relationship destroying. And it's hard for me to tell, is the thing that's coming up for me about things that I'm projecting onto you, things that I need to heal, that even at this relationship being the most beautiful ever, I'm always going to be insecure about because it started with me before I even met you? Or is it because what's happening right now is the red flag that Sheena be talking about on these podcasts? Is it what everyone has been telling me, that this is me settling, or I deserve better, right? Like, which one is it? How do I know when is the right time to actually let this go and hang it up, or to press forward? Right? The example that I give all the time, that the most beautiful relationships require this work, is what um, many people hold as a standard, Michelle and Barack, which is hard to hold any human beings at a standard, because for any of us, if you saw any one of us behind closed doors, if there is a 100% 24/7 camera on anybody in the world, I think we will all be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I admire this person. Why? Why? Because we're all human and we all have issues. But Michelle Obama, in her first book, Becoming Michelle, no, Becoming, um, which when I saw her on tour, I cried. Speaking of idols, I cried. I was like, she could have been my Michael Jackson. I like freaked out. Um, but something that she shares that I'll hear people refer to often is how she said, what did she say? I forget the amount of time, but she said there's like 8 years of their, 20 something year marriage, that she didn't like him, that she couldn't stand him. Right. But she's serious. She's not like saying, oh, we got each other nerves, like, couldn't stand him. Right. And they have one of the most beautiful relationships, at least face forward, that many of us see. Like, we feel like we can feel the love. Right. So we see that, and we hear from other people that we admire, people who have healthy and secure relationships, who talk about, yeah, you have to learn how to compromise, you have to learn how to communicate, you have to learn how to do these things, right? You hear me saying at the beginning of this that in the most beautiful relationships, there's still going to be a mirror and give you an opportunity of things to work on. So you think, okay, that's what's going on here, so you hold on. Some of us don't understand until we go through it, though, that the deep valley is only getting deeper, not because this is just the work of being in a committed relationship, but because we married, partnered with, committed to a predator. We found the person who was going to repeat our trauma and has no desire, no intention of changing. They do not have any real interest in making sure that our emotional, physical, spiritual, sexual, financial experience is safe for them. Their needs are always going to be prioritized. And that's why this isn't going to work. Not because I'm not compromising enough, not because I'm not sacrificing enough, not because I'm not praying hard enough, right? Not because I'm not in my feminine energy enough. I remember I was telling one person the other day, that one relationship that I was in, I've talked often about me learning about the concept of feminine energy, has been super healing for me. As someone who has always been perfectionistic, put myself last, prioritize everybody else, had to always be on the go, be strong, be the one who's always thinking all the time. Learning how to take care of myself, y'all, has been one of the gateways to healing my inner child, and learning how to receive love and be in rest, and open such an incredible experience in my relationships, in my romantic relationships, and my relationships in general. But when I learned the concept of feminine energy, I was very much in overdoing what some people who study this stuff or relate to these words would say. I was very much in my masculine energy. So what a lot of relationship experts in this place will say is that if you lean more into your feminine and out of your masculine, if you're with a good partner, it will allow them the opportunity to step up and give you what you need. Because now you're not doing everything. Now you're not emasculating them all the time. Now you're giving them a chance to help you, instead of you complaining that no one helps you because you're trying to do it all on your own, right? So I did that. And I did that with the full intention of staying in that partnership. But what happened is, the more I healed and the more I took care of myself and the more I was loving myself, the more I realized this person don't really want to be with, this person don't like me. This person does not care. And contribute to me. And with my eyes open, I was like, this is only going to be like this and worse down the line. So I had to make a decision for myself. And it was the best decision ever, because now when I do those exact same things and I prioritize me and I love me, the world is open to me. Like it's like freaking McDonald's, or Burger King. I can have it my way all the time. Like when being in relationships with people who actually love you, yeah, you will have hard conversations. Yeah, there are moments of vulnerability. Yes, you do make mistakes and kind of trip over each other with the ways that your trauma is set up and the ways that they learned about relationships and family and their standards and their expectations. That absolutely happens, but the love that happens within it, to hear it, to see someone rise to the occasion to love you, to care about you, to find out that you're not too much, to sacrifice for you willingly without there being like some kind of payback at the end, to be able to rest in a partnership. That's what I mean, and I think that's where a lot of healers and people talk about relationships being healing. There's only so far you can get in theory when you're doing this in isolation. For me to be able to be in a deep friendship relationship with a girlfriend, go through an argument, and we're still friends on the other side of it, right? Versus me knowing, okay, in a healthy friendship, you should be able to have disagreements and whatever else, and then like you'll be still be friends. Like I can know that logically, I can even teach that to you, but to feel that in my heart and feel that in the soul, where someone had the opportunity to leave and they didn't. If my trauma is abandonment and rejection, there's no amount of words, audios, or anything that can give me that feeling. There's no amount of therapy sessions, y'all, honestly, that can match having that felt sense and embodied sense of safety when you see that that's real, that that's not just theory. Same thing when it comes to romantic partnerships and everything else. To be in a relationship with a person that sees you and loves you, even in your imperfections and in their imperfections too, and y'all can come together, y'all, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. And that's what we all desire and want. Okay. I know that you may have to leave soon, but I want to say thank you for speaking to us this afternoon, for being extremely engaging, handling multiple platforms at one time, and um, most importantly, tone. Thank you. Aw, you have a gift, talent, and spirit about you, and profession matches you so well. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here for us, women who always do a lot. You're so welcome. Let me let me practice taking my own advice and receiving that. Thank you, love. I really thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, but yes, I do have to go. I hear little feet. So, for those of you who are watching this replays, let me know in the chat, comment, play, say replay. For those of you who are wanting to work on this, making this work, which I think all of us are going to have to make this work, whether or not you're currently in these relationships or in the future. How do you make it work when your own love avoidance is popping off? When your own love addiction is popping off? How do I make it work in the relationships that I have? With a live Q&A in January, on January 8th. Go to blackgirlsheal.org/make it work, to join the How to Make It Work between Love Addicts and Love Avoidants. We're going to be talking about trauma, self-love, healing, and then all the practical tips in the middle. All right, sending you all so much love. I will see y'all next time. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.